Have you ever wondered how one land, one civilization, could hold over 5,000 years of history, yet still remain misunderstood by so many? Think about it. Empires rose and fell. Philosophies were born here that changed the way humans think. Battles were fought not just with swords but with ideas. But somehow, India's history is often seen as a collection of random events rather than the deeply interconnected story it truly is. And here's the thing. If you've ever been confused about your identity, your roots, or where your place is in this chaotic modern world, then India's history might just be the compass you didn't know you needed. Because this isn't just about what happened then. It's about how the past is silently shaping your present, and possibly your love life, your decisions, your worldview. Stick with me till the end of this video, because once you see the patterns, the philosophy, and the resilience that runs through India's veins, you'll never look at yourself or the world the same way again. Before we dive in, hit that subscribe button and like the video. It helps us grow, and it tells the algorithm this story deserves to be heard. And trust me, you want to watch this all the way through. It's not just history. It's power, culture, heartbreak, pride, and the roots of a civilization still evolving. Let's begin with a story. The Lost Ring in the River. A few years ago, an old woman in Varanasi told me a story by the Ghats. She said to Beta, India's history is like a ring that slipped off the finger of time and fell into a river. The water kept flowing, but the ring, it never left. It just waited for someone to dive deep enough to find it. That image stayed with me, because that's exactly what India's history feels like. Vast, buried under layers of water, misunderstood by the surface, but brilliant once you look beneath. So today let's dive in, and not just into dates and rulers, but into the heart of this land. We're breaking it down into 7 essential eras, each with a story, each with a soul. Ready? The dawn. The Indus Valley Civilization, 3300 to 1300 BCE. Long before the pyramids rose in Egypt, long before China built its first wall, a city thrived along the Indus River. Harappa, Mohenjo-daro. Streets with perfect grids, houses with private bathrooms, a drainage system so advanced it still puzzles engineers. But here's what makes it remarkable. It was peaceful, no weapons, no evidence of war, just trade, innovation, and a people more focused on building than conquering. India didn't begin in chaos. It began in harmony. Imagine that. The DNA of Indian civilization is not violence, it's balance, something the modern world could learn from. 2. The Vedic Age, 1500 to 500 BCE. From sound to scripture. Now let's talk about sound. Yes, sound. Because while the world was still carving stories into stone, India was chanting them. The Vedas, some of the oldest sacred texts, weren't written, they were sung, memorized, passed down orally for generations. Rigveda, Samaveda, Yajurveda, Atharva Veda. These weren't just texts. They were maps of consciousness, of philosophy, of how to live with integrity and connection. This is when India began asking questions no other culture dared to ask. Who am I? What is reality? What happens after death? Not bad for a civilization just finding its voice. For the age of empires, Maurya and Gupta dynasties. Then came the rise of political power. Chandragupta Maurya, the man who defeated Alexander the Great's successors. But it was his grandson Ashoka who gave India its moral compass. After a bloody war in Kalinga, Ashoka transformed. He abandoned violence. He turned toward Buddhism. He spread compassion instead of conquest. He inscribed his principles on rocks. Dhamma, he called it. A code of ethics that preached tolerance, nonviolence, and respect for all life. Then came the Gupta Empire, India's golden age. Mathematics flourished, zero was born. Sanskrit literature bloomed. Science, medicine, astronomy, it all advanced rapidly. Aryabhata was calculating the value of pi while Europe was still in the dark. India wasn't behind. It was ahead by centuries. 4. Invasion, integration, and the birth of syncretism. Then came the invaders. Huns, Turks, Afghans, Mughals. It's easy to reduce this era to violence, but that would be missing the deeper truth. Yes, battles were fought. Yes, temples were destroyed. But cultures also blended. The Persian influence in language, the Mughal architecture, the rise of Urdu, the fusion of cuisine, clothing, and even music. India didn't just survive invasion, it absorbed it. It turned foreign elements into something uniquely its own. That's why Indian identity is so layered. Hindu and Muslim, South and North, spiritual and scientific. It's not a contradiction, it's a convergence. By the colonial shadow, British rule. 1858, 1947. Then came the darkest chapter. The British didn't just rule India, they extracted it. Wealth was drained. Industries were crushed. Famines were engineered. But here's the paradox. Even in this suffering, India found something extraordinary. Unity. Out of 500 fractured princely states, a single national consciousness emerged. From Tagore's poetry to Gandhi's Salt March, from Nehru's speeches to Ambedkar's constitution, India was reimagining itself. This wasn't just a fight for land. It was a fight for soul. India didn't win freedom through war. It won it through will and through nonviolence, a concept almost unimaginable in modern geopolitics. 6. Post-independence, the rebuilding begins. 1947. Freedom, partition, trauma. The birth of one nation split into two. Millions displaced. Millions dead. And yet India rose. With poverty, with chaos, with linguistic battles and political turmoil, India chose democracy, not dictatorship. Debate, not silence. Slowly, it built. ISRO launched satellites. Bollywood redefined storytelling. Indians began shaping Silicon Valley. A farmer's son could become prime minister. Not perfect, but persistent. This phase of India's story isn't over. It's still being written. Every day. First modern India, identity in flux. And now? India stands at a crossroads. Global on the outside, deeply traditional on the inside. A billion people, a billion contradictions. A country where women lead banks and also fight for basic safety. Where temples and tech parks exist side by side. And the question is still the same. What does it mean to be Indian? Some say it's language. Some say it's faith. Some say it's food or family or philosophy. But maybe it's this: India is not one idea. It's a conversation. And the moment you try to freeze that conversation, you stop being Indian. Why it all matters. Now you might be thinking, okay, but how does this help me? Here's how. When you know your roots, you stop feeling lost. You stop living in fragments. You understand your inherited strengths. You recognize the deep endurance in your blood. You realize why your parents carry pride and pain in the same breath. You understand why your love life feels torn between modern independence and traditional values. You see why your family emphasizes sacrifice. Why your heart leans toward loyalty. Why your soul aches for purpose, not just pleasure. You're not confused. You're carrying centuries. And once you see that, you stop feeling ashamed of your contradictions. You start honoring them. One final thought. The woman by the ghats in Varanasi, the one who spoke of the ring, in the river, she ended our conversation with this. When the time is right, Beta, someone always finds the ring. And when they do, the world starts listening to India again. Maybe you are the one who finds it. So here's your challenge. Don't let India's history be a chapter in a textbook. Let it be a mirror, a map, a story you carry with you every day. Because when you understand where you come from, the world can no longer tell you who you are. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.